Before we go today, the other reason I wanted to have Derrik on was to talk about some year 2 breakout guys. We were going to do this a couple weeks ago, and we ended up doing just wide receivers. But I asked Derrik about some guys that he liked who weren't wide receivers, more of a scouting take. So we've got a list of 7 guys, and I'm going to ask him a little bit to talk about these guys. And these are guys that we really like. Some of them are first and second round picks, so they're not top 25 prospects list per se that Rivers is going to put together. But tell us a little bit about these guys here.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll start from, I'll try to go in order of like how much I actually think they're going to matter. Christian Barmore, I think last year was his only real issue, I think, to me, was consistency. But if you watch some of Barmore's best plays or best games, his technique in the run game was like really good. I mean, just like perfect shot shed moves. Like it just was unbelievable. Obviously, when you come from Alabama, you kind of expect that, but he just does a little bit of everything. He's so explosive. He's already technically sound. I think his only real issue was like sometimes the game moves a little fast for him. But I think, when you go into year 2, that's going to be totally fine, and he's going to be unbelievable. The next that I would put on the list, I think I would probably group Cleveland's Greg Newsome, the cornerback, and then Raiders safety Trevin Merrick, like kind of together. So I'll start with Newsome. He's kind of wiry, but he's really fast, really sticky, just like a really smart player. He understands like when he needs to come and break down on routes and stuff. My only concern with him would just be like sometimes the bigger receivers can kind of get the best of him because he's a little wiry. So I think maybe if he can get a little bit better in that regard, but the fact that he's the number 2 there, I think he's in a really good position to continue to get better and be a really impact player. And then in the case of Trevin Merrick, I think the scheme change is going to be huge for him. Now he's getting Patrick Graham as his defensive coordinator. Patrick Graham, I thought, did an unbelievable job with Xavier McKinney last year. And I think they're actually pretty similar players in that they're both really smart. They can do enough of the one high. They can do some of the split field stuff. They can come down and tackle. So I'm really excited to see Merrick in a new scheme there. Anyway, Levi Onwuzurike, I thought he did a really good job with the Lions last year. He's not a particularly flashy player. He's not like a super going to be in the backfield all the time, but just in terms of a guy who could like consistently anchor for a defense and allow linebackers to play the game fast, I think he's going to be able to be like a pretty solid anchor there for them. Maybe similar to like a Michael Brocker's tier of player where he's like scratching Pro Bowls, but maybe not always the best. I think he could be something like that. My thing with Derrik Barnes is we're obviously moving into an era where linebackers are smaller, faster, they're better in coverage, all that stuff. They're really pseudo safeties. Derrik Barnes is an old school, he's going to hit somebody. We can also like kind of just play traditional 3-4 inside linebacker. I think he's going to be so good, especially in run defense, just coming up, hitting people, condensing space, all that sort of stuff. And then I think in coverage, he's not great, but as like a zone guy, I think he can do more than enough. So if he takes the next step next year, just in terms of seeing the game a little bit faster, I think he could be like pretty good. Another linebacker, actually, I have Ernest Jones. I did not think Ernest Jones was any good early in the year for the Rams, but I think as we saw kind of down the stretch, they really, really, really needed speed at linebacker. And when he was able to play for them, I actually thought what he provided over Troy Reeder, and just in terms of speed, being able to get to the sideline, was huge for the way that they structured their defense. When you only have one guy in the middle, right, it matters that guy can run, and Ernest Jones can run. So I don't know if he's necessarily a complete linebacker yet, but I think he's a perfect fit for that defense. And I think any degree of improvement would be really impressive. The last guy on the list is actually Steelers center Kendrick Green. He was a little bit up and down last year. Obviously, the Steelers offensive line as a whole was not very good. But I think there were just moments where he looked like a really, really good athlete at the position, where he was able to very quickly cross somebody's face and like steal them off of a play so that Harris could get in. Obviously, center is a really hard position to be good at early, but I think he showed that he's a really good athlete for the position. I think the fact that he could start as a rookie is pretty impressive. So I just think another year of development at a position that really, really, really needs those mental reps. And then obviously, being better at center kind of has a cascading effect for your guards, which, good Lord, the Steelers need that. So
they cleaned up. They added a couple of veterans at guard, right?
I think they got like James Daniels and somebody else that I can't remember. So I mean, you add that on top of whatever I think improvement we're going to see from Green. Maybe not going to be a great offensive line, but it should be a whole lot better than the bottom 3 unit that they had last year.
Awesome. Well, those are the year 2 breakout guys to watch for. So go Lions defense.
They have some, not year 2 breakout guys, but they have some other guys I'm kind of excited about. Oruwariye.
I don't know if you heard of this Aiden Hutchinson fellow, but he's good.
Like, I don't know. They're a fun defense.